Hello classmates, Professor Week 8, Informative Speech. My topic, John Walsh, From Tragedy to Triumph. Now many of you know John Walsh as the 23-year host of America's Most Wanted. But I assure you in the next 5 minutes, you're going to find out he's a lot more than just a host. A little background information. John Walsh received a phone call one day while at work from his wife, Reve, telling him that their 6-year-old son, Adam, was missing from a Sears parking lot. However, what they would later find out is that little 6-year-old Adam was kidnapped by a man named Otis Toole. Adam was found 2 weeks later, 2 miles from the Florida Everglades, decapitated. John writes in his book, Tears of Rage, that cash registers kept ringing up sales. Clerks kept waiting on people as if nothing had happened. I was trying to think of the words to make them see that something was terribly wrong, that something just wasn't right. I couldn't just go up to the counter and say I had a missing child, because in those days, there was no such thing. Excuse me folks, I'm just trying to get through this. A little bit about John Walsh. John Walsh was born December 26, 1945 in Auburn, New York. He was a hotel marketing executive who worked during the 1970s in Coral Gables, Florida. He was a Golden Gloves champ, boxing, and he graduated from New York State College, which is now Empire State College. During the death of his son, John was also dealing with the revelation that his wife, Reve, was having an affair. However, John did not let the grief strike at him. John Walsh began to contact local politicians in hopes of creating a national database for finding missing children. During this time, the FBI did have a database, but it wasn't for missing children. It was for missing property. So if you had a stolen car, a stolen gun, stolen CD player, the FBI had record of it. However, God forbid, your child was kidnapped and taken across state lines. The FBI was not allowed to get involved until 72 hours after the fact. Now, 72 hours may not seem like a long time, but when you are a grieving parent, it is. For those parents whose kidnapped child was taken across state lines, the chances of finding that child was ultimately slim to none, because law enforcement did not have records back then. After 3 years, John finally took his fight to the White House, and finally on June 13th, 1984, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children was opened by President Ronald Reagan. John said while on the front lawn of the White House that in life, some people are crippled by tragedy. Others have no choice but to rise against it. In 1997, John opened up his heart for the world to see. He wrote a book entitled Tears of Rage, which spoke about the birth of his son Adam, and spoke about his family, spoke about his suicide attempts, and it spoke about his rise to fame. In 1988, John was asked to host a new type of show, a show that would turn to the audience for help. The show was called America's Most Wanted. The first show on February 7th debuted a cop killer named David James Roberts. 4 days later, David James Roberts was captured. May 10th, 1990, America's Most Wanted recovers its first child, Nicole Ravisi. Her former babysitter was arrested. November 9th, 1996, America's Most Wanted, after 18 years, is cancelled. I'm sorry, that's not 18 years, that's 8 years. My apologies. America's Most Wanted was canceled. However, it was President Clinton and Vice President Gore who demanded that Fox 5 re-up the contract with America's Most Wanted and put America's Most Wanted back on the air. March 12, 2003, A&W, after months of searching, found Elizabeth Smart after being abducted from her bedroom. 61 missing children were found over the course of a 23-year period with America's Most Wanted. 1,151 worldwide captures. Fugitives in Costa Rica, Colombia, and America have been found. One of those fugitives, his name is Jovan Vandersloot. Name sounds familiar because he is the one who killed Natalie Holloway. September 11, 2001, America's Most Wanted waged war against Osama bin Laden. Now, ultimately, I could go on and on, but I won't. John Walsh is someone that I truly look up to, and I would advise anybody that enjoys reading to get the book Tears of Rage by John Walsh. It is truly a heartfelt book. In the time he could have spent grieving for his son, he insisted on helping other parents find theirs. John Walsh has truly touched me over the years, because even though I've never have been stricken by the grief that he has succumbed to, it just proves how strong a man will fight for his son after all these years. And it truly shows that a man would fight for someone else's son or daughter. A little sidebar. America's Most Wanted this week, after 23 years, was cancelled because of Fox 5. Fox deemed that the show was not making any money. Apparently, finding lost children and catching people in drug cartels isn't important. So Fox, if anyone from Fox is watching this, shame on you. A little sidebar to all parents out there. Please listen up. Keep a close eye on your children. With sites like Facebook, MySpace, and Twitter, it is an easy way for the wrong person, or a bad person, to have contact with your child. Know who their friends are. Ask questions. You are not their friends. You are your kids' parents. And please don't ever say it can never happen to you, because those words were once spoken by John Walsh. And I don't want to see anybody go through the tragedy that he went through. Class, good luck on your speeches, and I wish you all the best.